And welcome to office hours number 86, not 867. Uh, so this is one that is set for the EMEA and APAC time zones. I'm in the UK, you might be able to tell. I think we're hoping to do a few more in these time zones just to make it a bit friendlier for folks like Jason, who's on the call now, and stuff in Asia who might, it's a nicer time zone for them, and it's a nicer time for me personally as well. We've got a few things on the topic today, but we'll open it up as well to other folks towards the end, and feel free to jump in with questions and stuff. We're going to cover a little bit of the Fluent Bit roadmap, which is in the wiki on the GitHub repo. We'll jump into some of the kind of cutoffs for when we're going to stop supporting 4.0 and when we're going to branch 4.1 so that master becomes 4.2 and stuff like that. Locals will hopefully jump in on that. And then maybe we'll talk about some Helm Chart improvements. And I just wanted to flag as well for anyone who's over in the UK next week for KCD UK that I'll be there in person talking. And that we just want to schedule a few more of these EMEA sort of APAC times if we can. And if others want to host as well, just drop us a note as well in Slack or on here as well. Would be quite useful. So 4.2. So if you go to the GitHub repo, you should be able to find the 4.2 roadmap. It's in the wiki. So we can kind of see the roadmap here. Listing kind of what we're expecting to deliver, when we're expecting to deliver it, and those kind of things. So we're looking at 4.2 in November. The idea is to deliver it in time for KubeCon North America, which is, I'm not sure the specific day. It's around then anyway. So that's when 4.2 are coming. There's a milestone and some general overview of what's potentially in 4.2. Obviously, it's subject to a bit of change and making sure it's all stable and tested then as well. And you can kind of see what's going to be in that milestone, what PRs are currently allocated for it, and where they're going to be. So there's some interesting stuff in there. There's obviously some like bug fixes and additional features, but there's quite an interesting thing which is about adding metric support for routing or routing, if you feel like saying it wrong. But yeah, all the routing metrics at the moment just for logs, but we'll get it for metrics and traces as well. But giving you sort of a nice like what outputs are matching, how many records they're seeing, those kind of things to help you sort of pick up some better details around monitoring when maybe you're dropping data because things aren't being matched, or maybe there's some kind of mismatch in the bytes you're seeing versus what you're expecting to see as well. Just a bit more visibility, a bit more observability of an observability tool. Those kind of things are always good. So that's going to be in there for 4.2. It looks like Eduardo's pretty close to getting it in as well. It looks pretty good at the moment. There's a few things to sort. We've got a few other things as well. There's some improved performance on the SI.
To add a bit of more context into those changes, sometimes we don't explain what things are kind of motivating these changes. And we have seen configurations where the users will have like huge Fluent Bit aggregators or Fluent D aggregators, and given that architectural decisions they've made, they are losing some visibility of what's going on. So you will usually use aliases, you will use different outputs to try to narrow down when you're troubleshooting, to narrow down the pipelines, right? And in such architecture designs, you kind of lose that because you are using like the same path for all of your inputs to one centralized aggregator, and then shipping out to other outputs. But let's say that you have 10 inputs that are going from the same agent to the same aggregator, and then from that aggregator you're sending let's say 6 of the same to the same destination. So you kind of lose track of where you're sending. So for those kind of cases, these metrics will be very useful. You will not have to change your um, architecture design, which we usually recommend to, but you will have more visibility. I just wanted to, sorry for the interruption, but I just wanted to add some more context on the
That's
motivations behind it.
yeah. Yeah, I guess I've also seen stuff where we've done like pipelines with like critical kind of level stuff and then like best effort stuff as well. And it'd be good to see like, oh, this one's been overloaded because there's a really noisy, input or something like that as well. So it'll kind of help.
Yeah,
Yeah, more observability is good, and we
yeah,
we can.
yeah. And even though the recommendation of changing the architecture is something that you should do, sometimes the the teams will need to comply with certain requirements from security, from the same architecture team, etc. So this will make things easier. We hope.
Yeah, you can't always change everything all the time and roll it through production and stuff like that. So yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, we are relieving a bit of the pain of that.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, so some of the other stuff in there. So I think the idea is as well to get some kind of routing based on, getting a bit more of dynamic routing with metadata and attributes, which is something that comes up quite a lot. You can sort of do it at the moment with like rewrite tag and stuff like that, but it's quite expensive and quite difficult, and quite complex sometimes to come up with good rules, and rewriting injects it right from the start of the pipeline and stuff like that. So it looks like we're going to be providing some improvements around that. It's not really ready to look at yet, so I'm not going to show it just yet.
Yeah,
But that's certainly the plan as well, and improve certainly improve matching and routing around metrics as well, which is not quite as mature as it is around logs. Because obviously logs have been done for ages, but metrics is a bit more like, oh, we want to route certain things or choose certain labels or stuff like that as well, and being able to be a bit more dynamic around that. So it'll be helpful around that stuff as well. So hopefully that will come in for 4.2.
yeah,
Some general performance improvements. So Eduardo was talking about it on, I think it was the last meetup back in September, about some of the SIMD stuff, some of the improvements around JSON and stuff like that. So it's good to, if you go back and watch some of that, he goes through that in detail. But there's some significant improvements, particularly around where you're wanting to process batches of records and being able to skip over a huge batch of them because nothing's changed and stuff, and doing that in parallel and things like that. So he had quite a good talk on that last time, so it's worth catching up on that. There's general security improvements, resilience improvements as well. Supervisor mode, I think came in for, is it in 4.1? I think, Lakaros.
yeah.
Um,
That was
that's
released
kind
already. Yeah,
yeah. So Fluent D has a similar supervisor mode where you've kind of got a watching process that makes sure Fluent Bit doesn't get stuck or stuck in a hot reload thing with invalid config or things like that. So sort of a supervisor or manager or whatever of you want to call it. So it's an equivalent functionality Fluent D had and people are asking for as well to make things a bit more resilient and catch issues with reloading or changing config and stuff like that. There's some TLS improvements. I'm not going to go into those because TLS is very hard and hard to demo as well. I think Parquet format has been in, or it's certainly been, we've been looking at doing it for a while. But that's added to S3 now. We've obviously got all the improvements around Hotel and the authentication for AWS. Eduardo also presented last time the metrics collector and talked about the Prometheus text file collector as well. That's quite useful, particularly for legacy stuff where you're just outputting metrics, to a text file or something like that. And it's certainly something. So you've got the text file collector on the Prometheus side as well that does equivalent behavior. So it's something we've been missing. So it's quite useful to have, and also it's quite useful to use for testing and stuff like that. If you need to have CI pipelines and stuff like that, where you just want to generate no metrics and verify that your metrics output shows them or whatever, at least you've got a simple way of doing it rather than having to sort of hard code that in or do something with dummy and logs to metrics or something like that. So it's a lot simpler. And then we've got larger platform support. So a lot of this stuff is already in 4.1. OpenSUSE is I need to review the PR, but that should be there soon. Um, so there's some improvements there. There's some general improvements. So the Windows Cert Store has been improving. The support for it's been improving probably the last two major releases. I know Jorge did a load of work around it a while back, and then Hiroshi's been picking up some recent improvements as well. I think there's been some requests around being able to select specific certificates or fingerprints or something like that. So just being able to add a little bit more granular selection to the security and being able to control it a lot more. So those are kind of a broad strokes view of what's in 4.2. We're looking at bringing that out in time for KubeCon, which Lakaris, can you keep me honest? Do you know when the specific date of KubeCon is? Is it 15th?
Yeah,
Something like that?
it's the week of the 10th. We usually
Okay.
aim to have already like the previous week, but we
Hmm.
are doing releases during the KubeCon. So if you'll be there, you may see us starting the release process at the Fluent kiosk.
Yeah. So there's probably something to bring up as well. KubeCon, so it's the North America one. We'll have some maintainers there for the Fluent project in the open source booth. So it's probably worth going over there. Are you going, Lakaris, I presume?
I am going, yeah, and Hiroshi is going to join us as well. So
Uh,
if you want to talk nerdy about Fluent Bit, Hiroshi is the man. So step by the kiosk and enjoy a time with him. He's a really nice guy. Uh, Apart from his cleverness as the other Fluent Bit maintainers, he's a very nice guy to talk to. Yeah.
yeah, and he's very good at he does a lot of the work on the Windows side as well. So if there's specific questions on the Windows side and that, then it's worth talking to him as well because he knows the most about that. And he's got a good background in Fluent D as well. So if you want to cover that too, then he can cover that. Um,
Yeah, it would be
and
helpful for folks that are always asking why Fluent Bit instead of Fluent D, why not both, how to migrate. So he's the man for that kind of question. I mean, every maintainer will have the reasoning behind that to share with you if you have those questions. But if you want to go like deeper or get from first hand, he's the man, definitely. I'm a fan of
yeah,
Hiroshi.
and he'll be able to answer specific questions about specific Fluent D features as well, like how
Yeah,
would I do this in Fluent Bit without having to, like me, I'd have to go look up how Fluent Do does it, Fluent D does it, and bring it in. So yeah, so that will be coming out in November. One thing that I see come up quite a bit is people asking when they can test builds and stuff. One thing I should mention is that open source has nightly builds, so there's nightly builds of everything, containers, packages, all those targets as well. So if people want to try things out, once PRs emerge, they can have a look at the latest nightly build for master, for 4.0, for 4.1, whatever we're gonna do. That's probably a good point to jump to. When are we making those changes, the Karos for what's
yeah,
going on and branching for 4.1 and maybe you can cover the branching model and stuff like that as well.
yeah. That's a good idea. So we usually uh, provide support for two uh, major versions. Are not totally Semver compliant, but we usually provide support for the two last versions. So 3.2 should be out of there already if you're looking into patch screen. We should move that
Uh,
away and we should have now 4.0, 4.1, and once we release 4.2 in 3 weeks, uh, we should change that. We keep only track of those two, and we keep providing fixes for those two versions. So currently, we are everything that is going to master will be provided in 4.2 is in 4.1 because it's the version we have currently in the master branch, and for 4.0 is Hiroshi doing all the backports, where mostly there are other contributors doing the same, but Hiroshi is mostly doing that. So all the fixes that are important are backported to the previous version, but we, as the open source project, we do not provide support for more than those. It is important to make a good use of the resources, so that's mostly the reason. So if you are behind, yeah, try to move to a newer version. We usually don't introduce breaking changes. We usually change the version number because of the new features. From Fluent Bit 2.0, we have introduced a small set of breaking changes. Now, probably one of the important ones that it should not break anything, but we have seen a few concerns from users, even from 1.8, I think there was one like 3 weeks ago. They were complaining about the format of the Fluent Bit log. You remember that, Pat? I think we both interacted with that users. So
The standard out, I think it was, wasn't it? It included
yeah.
metadata.
Oh yeah, that was the other, yeah, including the metadata brackets in the log format. And now we have more precision in the time for those logs. Before that, we were only providing precision to the second. So for some heavy users, that was not ideal. And now we have precision to nanoseconds. In most systems, there are some where nanosecond precision is not available, so we're using microseconds for that. But still, you will have 6 more digits after the second, so should be good. And so that's how we keep the versions, how we try to provide support for the previous versions. Don't be afraid of upgrading the version to a major because of incompatibilities. If we have breaking changes, that will be on the release note. Otherwise, you can safely assume it's gonna work for you. Yeah, little. Yeah, you cannot find anything out somewhere there.
Yeah, there's somewhere in it, it explains the release process. I can't remember where it is, but the documentation got refactored a little bit as well. But it's not a strict SEMVer policy. So
Yeah.
if you treat it as a SEMVer, then be aware it's not. Lucaris, have you got, so at the moment we've got a 4.0 branch, we're supporting 4.0. The master branch is going to be 4.1 releases, but at some point before the 4.2 release, the master branch will become the 4.2 upcoming release, and we'll do a 4.1 branch. And at that point, we won't be supporting 4.0 anymore. Do you know
Yeah,
when that date is?
that should be during the week of KubeCon. Yeah,
Okay, so
when we do the
we've got,
release.
I'll just put start of November, and it's vague enough. And at that point, yeah, 4.0 won't be supported in the sense of open source. We backport and make a new release. We never backport and overwrite existing releases or anything like that. You always have to move forward with open source.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that covers that. Was there anything else you wanted to say on that side, Lucaus?
No,
Or
on
Kate?
that one, no. So what are you
Okay.
talking about during KCD UK?
Yeah, so next week I will be at KCD UK. I won't be talking about Fluent Bit per se, although I did submit. I might do my. I submit my lightning talk anyway for improving open source contribution and encouraging people to do it and stuff like that, which is kind of loosely based on Fluent Bit as well. You know, people like to know how they can contribute to open source. And sometimes it's not necessarily about implementing stuff, it's about adding documentation, tests, all these other useful things and stuff around it and the good ways to get involved. But next week, yeah, so my talk is on taking cloud native offline. So I come from a background of working in a lot of industries which are require air gaps to some degree. You know, I worked in defense and finance and pharma and stuff like this. So some places have a complete Faraday cage, and other places are like, no, no, we don't want to just pull stuff off the internet and run it and stuff like that. So I'm going to be talking about uh, a lot of my talk is a rant about how much I hate current solutions and ideas and stuff like that. So it's about, yeah, maybe considering the end users and how you can design your software, what kind of stuff you can do to improve it. But also, I've been testing out a few of the current tools and stuff that help that. So there's a few things like Hauler and Zarf that I've been using to try and take things offline and being able to deploy things easily offline, both as like a vendor. So like, how do we provide our products to make it easy for consumers who are offline to use them, which is a large part of what my talk's based around. But also maybe as a user, how can I look at, you know, sometimes I want to consume open source. How can I easily take that and take it offline and stuff like that? So yeah, my talk's around that. It's mostly me complaining about things and suggesting some ideas, but also hopefully I'll get time to do a couple of demos around the Zarf and Hauler stuff, which are both pretty good. The Zarf stuff is really nice for demos. Actually, it gives you a whole complete isolated tarball of everything you need to run and spins up a Kubernetes cluster, and yeah, it looks really good. So I'll be looking at doing that hopefully next week. But yeah, also I wanted to, like, if there's anyone, you know, who's using Fluent Bit, those kind of things. Typically, I find quite a few people there when go around talking to folks. So it'd be good to meet anyone who I've interacted with or who wants to talk about Fluent Bit or stuff in general around the Fluent project. Um, I'm hoping to catch up with one of the other Fluent Bit maintainers who, well, he's more a Fluent maintainer. He works on the Helm Chart side. I was hoping he would join today a little bit to talk about some of his ideas around improving the Helm Chart side of things. But hopefully we can get a nice set of proposals out for that and just making it a bit better and easier to use. And particularly around the YAML format as well, and improving some of that. The main thing we wanted to show at the moment was there's a PR in place to, at the moment the Helm charts are just a Helm repo, but we're going to push to some OCI artifacts as well, so that people can start just consuming them as directly as OCI artifacts, which integrates a lot nicer with a lot of tooling. You know, you get simple tarballs and stuff like that. So you don't have to add Helm repos. You can just pull the tarball directly. These kind of things as well. So just PR. Hopefully, I was waiting on Steve to make sure he was happy with it, but I might just merge it later so we can start getting OCI artifacts as well out for the Helm charts, which then also integrates nicely to a lot of the offline tooling and stuff like that, where we can just pull the actual tarball straight as an OCI artifact with all its attestations, signatures, all these kind of things as well. So it's quite nice, and it is an improvement. So that's one of the things we want to get there in the Helm chart improvements. But there's a lot of other stuff as well. The YAML format needs looking at. The current Helm chart runs in legacy config. I do have an example of how to do it with let me find it, with Helm explicitly in just quite a few little steps. So I'll put that in there. But it'd be nice to make it, you know, first class citizen as well in the Helm chart. So if you want to run with a YAML config, you have to provide the YAML config, and then you have to make sure you override the default config for the container to use it. which is a bit of a faff, but there's it can be done, and it's a bit nicer then because you can use all the YAML templating in Helm to do that. It'd be nice to make this first class citizen as well, but again, there's some open issues around like valid YAML actually in Fluent Bit as well. So we support a YAML config file, but it's not really YAML. It's kind of a DSL that looks like YAML because you can, you've got underscores, it's case insensitive. So technically in YAML, I could define, could even define the same key multiple times just with different case values and which one does it take and stuff like that. So there's a few things we need to do there to make it a bit more idiomatic and stuff like that. And also, I think the Helm chart defaults to using what do you call it, Elasticsearch as an output and things like that. So that there's some improvements we can make, I think, certainly in the Helm chart to make it a bit better. So we'll be looking at that and hopefully pushing those in the next few weeks. So yeah, that's kind of that.
Cool.
I'll open up the floor to anyone else. Jason, is there anything you wanted to ask or cover?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it is the right time to talk about one issue I put forward in the community.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
regarding the issue number is 10898.
Let me find it.
Sure, thank you. I mean, that issue has been bothered us for quite a long while.
What is it? Sorry, let's
10898.
10898. Is that right?
Yeah, 898.
High memory consumption.
Yeah, that's right.
That...
We have already switched to 4.1.1 in that version of the Fluent Bit Docker image, but we still see the high consumption of the Fluent Bit pod. We are running the Fluent Bit in the daemon side. There are around 6 worker nodes, and in the config file, we have around a dozen of the configuration file, the YAML file for each tenant. We are using the include mode to include those to combine the different tenants together, as you can tell from this screenshot. Yes. And you can tell from the Grafana dashboard, the memory consumption for each pod is climbing high, and if you hit the ceiling, the limitation with the pod is around 256 megabytes, and then it will trigger the restart of the pod. Something like this. Yes.
Yeah, so I guess from my side, it's like, so it'd be quite useful to have like a representative config, because like taking screenshots is like hard for us to then type it all out and not make a mistake and stuff like that. Is there any way you can provide because I presume you've redacted a few things, but yeah, if you can just don't upload a file, but if you paste it in line, just because like uploading attachments is a bit like insecure as well. Sometimes I feel a bit like I don't want to just click a random attachment and download it to my computer. So it'd be good to just paste it in line if you can. And I presume.
Yes, I tried, but we are running in a production environment. It's not allowed to copy the file out of the
no,
firms.
But I imagine you can make a representative version of what's in the screenshots here, and that'd be quite useful to have. And then we could potentially look at because it's reproducing it. That's the problem. It's like we can't investigate it in your environment, but if we can see what's if we can reproduce it locally, because if it is memory consumption, it shouldn't necessarily need high data rates or anything like that. It should just go up, with a simple reproducer or something like that. But maybe there's a specific setup that you're using in your thing. I presume failing all logs, all container logs or something like that. You're not using a multi-line parser, which might be a useful thing to do, but that's not important. So you're combining some of the stack traces, I guess, or something like that with multi-line.
It's a multi-line parser here, like in each kind of YAML file, we do have a separate multi-line parser. I'm not sure whether that we bought it.
Yeah. Well, we can, yeah, if we can get a simplified config and then maybe we can look at it with generating
Sure, I will
some
do that.
I don't know, Lucaris, if you have any ideas around some other metrics to look at, maybe like per, because you should be getting metrics for the individual filters down here as well. Whether any of those will be showing anything, I'm not sure.
Okay, I will see what I can upload further.
Yeah, no, it's more. I just wonder if Lucaris has any ideas, because generally speaking, he knows a lot more about like figuring out these kind of problems.
Yeah, from what I can see there, I see nothing so far that rings a bell, but having the configuration and a log file of just to have an idea what's going on there, right? Whether you are experiencing back pressure, if you see other signs during the execution of the agent, and if not, just provide your config to see what could be doing that, and a sample of the log that you are ingesting, because this is a tail only, right? So that's a starting point. So when we try to provide support to the community, we will go through this queue and look not for the easiest one, but for those that are actually actionable reports. Like, hey, this is my problem. This is the log that I'm seeing. This is what I tried. This is my config. So that's easy for us and for the rest of the community to take that and start the repro and try to find out what's going on. But in this case, as Pat was saying, yeah, copying all that from an image, it's not something that we would like to spend our open source time on. So if you can prepare a better material for us to start the investigation on this issue, that would be great. It is possible that we are still having bad code, for a lack of a better word, but we need a repro. That's the starting point. If it's not something really obvious, yeah, we need a repro. So if you can do that and ping me or ping the team again, that would be great, Jason.
Sure. For the log file generated from the customer's namespace on the Kubernetes cluster, it isn't possible to retrieve them out because it is confidential.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So you've got a multi-line parser there, so you should be able
Yeah.
to provide sample logs, not the actual logs, but logs that are of what it should be doing.
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't
Sure.
have any real data, just like
yeah,
stuff like that.
Okay, no problem. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And by the way, regarding the incoming release of the 4.2, we are really looking forward to that one. We are a heavy Fluent Bit user. There are around hundreds of the Linux servers, along with the hundreds of Windows servers that running the Fluent Bit to kind of log files, not only from the application, but also from the Windows event viewer, something like that. And even from the Kubernetes cluster, we are using the OpenShift Kubernetes cluster for the application. Yes.
Nice.
Mhm.
That's great, and we appreciate the feedback if you have when we do the release. Yeah,
For sure.
Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, we can probably call it there, I guess. And hopefully we'll do another one in this time zone at some point in the next month or so, hopefully.
yeah. Okay, thanks everyone. Glad to see you again, Pat. Long time we haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
See you somewhere in person as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for joining as well. Hey, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.